There's no shortcut to a warm up. A warm up is you do the warm up. And so you have to build the time in for the warm up and not expect your woman to have the erectile response that.
Susan Bratton, the Sexpert, I'm so glad to have you back, especially because questions have been piling up, and we're trying to leverage the great show we did last time with all your amazing tips. And of course, we're going to give all the website links where you can get inundated with fantastic and very entertaining commentary, tips, and advice. So thanks for coming back, Susan.
Be rad. It is so good to see my friend. I was looking forward to getting together with you today. We had such a good time the last time. And I saw that you had John, my buddy John Gray. He lives here in my town. I saw you had John on just recently, so that's great. He's going to tell you all the estrogen and the testosterone and the, you know,
Yeah, that
that's his
show
jam.
flows beautifully into this one because
Yeah.
you need that hormonal balance and relationship dynamics. It's such a favorite topic of mine. And then now we can kind of layer that with your area of expertise and passion for so long, so to speak.
Yeah.
But just before we hit record, I said, let's leverage all the great talk we did on the first show. And one of the things that came up with some listener commentary was, oh, that show with Susan was great. That was some really amazing stuff and eye-opening. However, right now, it's not really my top priority because the relationship is, filled with stress, hectic, tension, resentment, distance is being created. So, our sexual techniques and enhancing the orgasmic pleasures is on the back burner, so to speak. So I thought we could like jump into that issue in case any listeners can relate or have friends who might be, oh, our first caller is calling in. Yeah, my friend is not getting passionate anymore. Okay.
You're so cute. Yeah.
Line three calling in. Okay. Yeah. You're calling on behalf of a friend. Okay. Sure. Susan knows all about how to handle those people. Does your friend still get an erection? Does your friend eat a healthy diet? All right.
I'm not sure you need me, baby. I think you got it.
We're on the groove as usual.
Well, all right. So I'm thinking about the stressful world we live in, the fact that sometimes there are frustrations outside the bedroom that prevent couples from getting inside the bedroom. And what do you do about it? So there are a wide variety of things. I'm going to throw out, I'm going to throw down a bunch of stuff and you go, let's do that. Let's talk about that first or that first. All right. So one of them is that I noticed that couples stop touching each other at all when they stop having intercourse. And often they end up in separate rooms because usually he snores. Turns out testosterone it exacerbates snoring. So that's why men snore more than women do, though women certainly do snore. But you're in separate bedrooms, you're watching TV, you get up from the couch, you go into your rooms, you go to sleep. There's no time for sex. So that's a pretty common thing, is the we don't even touch each other anymore part of it. And that's kind of one of the first things you have to deal with. The second thing is my partner doesn't, they kind of think their sex life is over. They don't really feel like they need to have sex anymore. But what about me? I'm still horny. So there's that one. There's we're both too stressed. We're like ships in the night. They're on the road. I'm on the road. By the time we get home, we just need to flop. The last thing I want to do is one more thing.
Hmm.
That's a big one. So I would say those are the most common things. Our sex life used to be good, but it's just petered out. And when I ask for sex, my partner turns me down. I feel really rejected. I don't feel like they really love me. I don't even understand why I'm in this relationship anymore. Now it's just like we're here to feed the dog and the cat. Is this all we're left with is the opposable thumbs to open cans and bags of dog food? That's another one. My partner let themselves go. I don't find them attractive anymore. I
Hmm.
I mean, why don't they take care of themselves? Why are they doing that? I can take care of myself. How come he's got that big belly? That's disgusting. Or why does she, that kind of thing. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's any other big ones. Well, another big one that is that, and this one's more like a therapy one rather than a what to do about your sex life one, but it's my partner cheated on me and I cannot forgive them. Like they're not allowed to go with the other person, but I hate them. So I'm just going to keep them here in the house and torture them for the rest of their lives and be
Prison
pissed and
sentence.
miserable.
Yeah. They got 2 more years left on their sentence. Then I'll think about sex. Yeah.
It's like that's about the 20% of people is in that category.
I mean, are you saying
So
that for real? That there's
yeah,
a lot of this, a lot of these are actual pie slices of relationship dysfunction?
I just gave you the pie. I just gave you
Yeah,
all the
that's the whole
slices.
pie. Maybe there's a few crumbs of whatever strange.
Yeah, there's
My
crumbs
partner
of
doesn't
like,
like threesomes, and I do, or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Or we're stationed overseas, or there's those, or
Mm.
uh, when we have sex, it's amazing, but neither of us ever lift a finger to have it. That's yeah, add that one into the slice too. Like
Hmm.
no, nobody, it's the blind leading the blind behind closed doors, Brad. So there's that.
Maybe that's a good one to start with because
Hmm.
I also feel like that dynamic could apply to various other things in your life, such as I feel much better when I start my day with a workout and go to the gym, but I've been too busy. And so we kind of get into we get inundated with stress and responsibility and distraction. And even though there's a huge payoff that we can confirm from life experience, we still haven't been intimate in 1 week, 2 week, 4 weeks, whatever, and there's no major crisis. It's just
We're not
habit
doing the
or
old in and
something.
out. It's not
Right,
happening.
right.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that. Yeah,
Yeah, we're not motivated for some reason. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a
And
big
then
one.
then like time goes by and you've watched enough programming that you're actually tired and you don't feel like whatever. Yeah.
Mhm. And I actually think that in a lot of these cases, which are the most common cases, energy is a big factor.
Mm,
You and I are both health oriented people. We both love to work out. We love to do our things.
have sex, etc.
We focus on doing what it takes to generate a lot of energy. Like our workouts give us energy. The things that we do make us have more energy. And a lot of people don't have energy and they say, I don't even have the energy to work out. When in reality, the energy to work out is what's going to give them the energy. So I actually think that there's a couple of big factors. One of them is I just don't have enough energy. And that comes also from being too stressed because stress zaps you of resources. It's a resource hog
Mm.
and it tires you. So I think that's probably the single biggest issue when we're not talking about a couple that has problems outside the bedroom. When what we're generally talking about here are people who are getting along pretty well. They're just not getting it going on. And that's a big issue. And oh God, it's what I don't want to be, and I really don't like are the sexperts who are like, just schedule sex. It's like,
Oh.
bitch, if that would have worked, I'd have done that a long time ago. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's like Susie Ormond saying, you should stop drinking Starbucks and save 10% of your income. Oh, really? Save and invest 10% of my income? That's pure genius.
What a brilliant
Thank you
idea,
very
scheduling
fucking
sex. Oh,
much.
and then
Yeah.
it'll just magically happen. Oh, hell no, it will not. We're still too tired to have sex and we just want to lie on the bed and watch TV. Yeah, so that is definitely a part of it too. So, all right, what do you do about all this? How do we
Hmm.
get here? besides the lack of energy thing, which
Mm,
hopefully for most of your listeners, they're here because they are taking care of their health. So I'm actually talking to an audience of way more healthy people than if I went on, any kind of, big show that was just, non-health oriented. So we're already working with more than most people have, which is great. So what else went wrong? What
mm,
happened? Probably the number one thing is that in our world, every example we see on the movies and television, especially when we watch pornography, even when we read a lot of erotica, it is based on a set of principles that are based on men's arousal patterns. And so it leaves women behind because we have a very slow escalation. You guys have a fast escalator, and we have a ladder we've got to climb up. And it's heavy lifting to get our butts up that ladder. And the reason that is a number of things. Number one, you guys have more testosterone than we do. So let's just say, you wake up, you get erections at night when you're healthy. You wake up with a morning erection. If your partner, generally, if you're a guy and your partner's like, you want to have sex? You'd be like, yeah, I do. And your pants are already off. You're ready to go. You're pretty much available on demand for as much sex as we want as women, which I love that about you guys. Thank
mm.
you so much for that erection and that willingness. I mean, we couldn't do it without you.
It's
Thank
nice to
you.
feel wanted. Yes.
Exactly. But the thing that happens is because what we think about when we think about sex is we think about, okay, sex is intercourse. So our job here is to have intercourse. And man, I love intercourse, especially because I literally turned into a sexpert because I wasn't having
Mm,
orgasms from intercourse with my husband for 12 years and was like, I don't want to have sex with you anymore. This is like, you can just masturbate. You do not need my vagina for this. You can just use your hand. And, it was making my husband crazy. He tried everything to get me to have sex. And I just was like not into it because it wasn't that great for me. And so for a lot of people, it's not that great because we don't get taught what to do. We're just
mm,
making stuff up. We're doing what we see. And when we do the things that we see, they're great for guys' pace of sex, but not so much for the gals. And everybody's on this big bell curve, right? There's some women who are super horny all the time. They wake up, they want sex in the morning. I don't know any of them, but I've heard they're out there. They're in magical unicorn land. I mean, there's a smattering of them, and I don't think I know any of them personally, right? And I've been doing this for decades, but they're out there. So it's within the realm of possibility, but it's most common that the guy is ready to go. He'll have sex whenever
mm,
you want, and it's the woman who is like, I don't think so. Not maybe not today, or this morning it sounds like a good idea. By the end of the day, she's not so sure, that kind of stuff. And I think the biggest problem with that is that for us women, you've probably heard the research about how women are more responsive desire and men are more spontaneous desire.
mm,
And that's what I've really been describing is that it takes her 20 to 30 minutes to get to the level of turn on that you're kind of walking around with all day long. That is not a level playing field. And then when you get started, when she's like, okay, let's have sex, or we have sex on Saturday, so I am going to have sex with you on Saturday, or whatever her arrangements are around assuaging her guilt over not wanting you as much as you wish she
mm,
would, which is kind of what it is. Um, then your job is to have intercourse. And the thing is that it happens before she even gets, it's just like it's over before she's even turned on. She
mm,
never really gets into that, wanton, abandoned, slutty, hungry, this ravenous lioness. That's what you wish she was like. And what she wishes she was like. A lot of times for women after they've had sex with their husbands, they're like, That was good. Why don't we do that more often? And the
Hmm.
guy's like, biggest eye roll in the world. Like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I'm offering you sex cons. I'm trying not to badger the crap out of you. Are you kidding? Like, how come you can't remember from one sex date to the next how much you like sex? Like, why do you have amnesia, sexual amnesia? Does any of this sound familiar?
I hope so, listeners. Um, but I am relating to that first question I asked about it kind of gets passed over because I guess you could argue that the logistics are complex, especially as you describe how both partners need to be feeling comfortable, safe, secure, going on their own a stair climb pace, and so it can get pushed away by dog feeding and opening the cans and just dealing with a busy life. And
Yeah.
then you kind of look back and go, gee, why don't we end every day like that? I can definitely relate to that, but it's just so hard to get to the starting point, you know?
Yeah. So how do you circumvent all that?
Yeah.
What are the three little tricks that, make all these problems go away? There are a few. So I'll just give you all the things. And we've definitely established the issue at this point. So let's solve the problem. And the way that relationships work, it's everyone is totally unique. You guys are all snowflakes in a good way. And different things work at different times as well. So what worked yesterday might not work next week. So it can be confusing. So you have to have a big arsenal of strategies. It's because if you want to have the commitment to having good sex together your whole life long, you kind of have to trick yourselves into doing it in some ways. Like you have, good intentions, but it never happens. And one of the things that I will say is, because I'm about to tell you how to fix the problem, is that having a commitment to your sex life, a guilt-free commitment to your sex life by understanding what you're up against and why these things are the way they are, is very, very, very important if you want to live longer than all your peers.
Mm.
You want to look 10 years younger than all your peers, and you want to be happier than all your peers. So when you get to the end of your life, you're still having incredible intimacy, you're creating oxytocin together, you've got lower cortisol, you're sleeping better at night, you're having orgasms. The orgasms you're having are easier, they're effortless,
Mhm.
you've got more different pathways to pleasure. You really know your body. Your body has a giant palette of pleasurable possibilities that it enjoys. It knows the route to the orgasmic ecstasy. It's a well-worn path. It's got an ease to it. You get a wonderful, cascade of neurotransmitters, all that good serotonin. You give her lots of testosterone so she stays confident and doesn't turn into a scaredy cat little old lady.
Mhm.
You have higher IGF-1, so your immune system's more solid. You've generated so many more NK, natural killer cells, than any of your friends because you guys have regular orgasmic pleasure together that neither of you got cancer and all your friends did. I'm not guaranteeing that, but NK cells are where it's at, and intimate orgasmic ecstasy is what generates it. So that ain't bad. You are more calm, less agitated, less willing to freak out about shit because you have nervous system reboots and you're
Mm.
grounding and calming each other. You feel more loved, more seen, more cherished. All of these things make your relationship with your partner the envy of all your friends. And you know that you have something that most people have forfeited because they
Mm.
gave up when they hit this wall and you kept going. What are the secrets? Tell me the coping mechanisms. Give me the shortcuts. I need some answers. Give me a checklist. Here we go. The very first thing is that because she's got as much erectile tissue in her vulvovaginal system as you do in your penis, but it's in nooks and crannies, you get a fast acting erection. She gets a slow blossoming erection. And you wouldn't have intercourse with her with a flaccid penis, but if she doesn't have the time to get really turned on, which just takes longer.
Mm.
And you don't want her to put pressure on herself. She has to learn to allow her body to have the responses so she gets her lady boners. So everything just feels better no matter whatever you do. So she's more likely to want to have intimate connection again because it was so much better than anything she'd been having then. And that just started getting really good for her. And you have to think about yourself and you come up with your own hashtag. But the one my husband and I use, and we have used for decades, is hashtag Team Sweetie. Because I call him Sweetie and he calls me Sweetie. And so we just call ourselves Team Sweetie. And Team Sweetie, it's us against my biology. There's no blame game. There's not My arousal patterns are totally normal, but even I to this day when we are getting started, I can get impatient with myself for how long it takes me. And I just have to say to myself, there's nothing wrong with you. You just cool your heels, little
Yeah.
girl. You're going to get there. Don't worry. Ask for
Yeah.
what you need. Some days
Yeah.
it's a little faster than others, but this is what it takes. It's like it's warming up your system. It's literally
Well,
warming up the muscles of your sex life. And that you don't do it instantly. There's no shortcut to a warm up. A warm up is you do the warm up. And so you have to build the time in for the warm up and not expect your woman to have the erectile response that you do as a man. Because once you put that time in, Team Sweetie, here we go. Let's get this girl her lady boner. This is this is the job for Team Sweetie. Then she starts having much better pleasure. And then she remembers it more fondly and is more likely to say yes to your advances. That's one thing. The second thing is, and people know this, but they don't do it. You don't touch each other except to try to get sex. And then
mm,
when you stop having sex, your partner avoids you for touch. So one of my favorite programs is this little book called The Passion Patch. And it's the one place to arouse her, to turn her on in 30 seconds flat. And it's actually a dozen different places to touch a woman that are different erogenous zones that you want to be touching all the time so that she's very used to you having your
mm,
hands on her so that she's not like, oh God, you're always grabbing me to try to get me to, you know, do things. Instead of that, it's like you're actually touching her because she wants it, because you've turned her with your touch, understanding the difference between nurturing touch, healing touch, sensual touch, and sexual touch. You're suddenly touching her in nurturing, healing, and
mm,
sensual ways a lot more instead of just in the sexual touch that makes her shy away from you. And then she'll start touching you because she knows you can touch her without trying to get something. Then you're touching her a whole bunch more and you're touching her in lots of places. It could be she likes the small of her back. It could be your hand resting on her knee. It could be encircling her wrist and pumping it a little bit, which is part of one of the chakra systems of pleasure in your body.
mm,
So there are myriad ways to begin to reestablish touch and connection. One of the things I like to do when I'm talking to my husband is sit on his lap to talk to him. I will just if I need to say something to him, I'll walk up to his desk and I'll sit down on his lap. He's gotten so used to that now that he rolls his chair back when I'm walking up toward him so I can get in there. He loves to have me sit on his lap. He just puts his arms around me. He rests his hands on my thigh. And it's just a moment for us of closeness and a little oxytocin and that kind of a thing. Another thing that I teach is something called the soulmate embrace. And the soulmate embrace, and I want to give you a link to that because I find that if you download it and you read the steps, You're like, ah, I got it. Okay. But if I tell you the whole thing right now, you might not remember. It's at soulmateembrace.com. And it's basically how to hold your woman in a way that she's been craving, that she never knew, that she never got her whole life because it never dawned on you to hold her this way. And it's basically, at its bare bones, it's a long hug, but there's some nuances to it. And I want to stay at a surface. So I'm just going to keep giving you other examples of things that to do. So that's another big one is holding her in bed or holding her on the sofa. Another technique is small offers. One of the books that I published from my mentor, Dr. Patty Taylor, is called The Seduction Trilogy. I've given you all these. And the Seduction Trilogy is interesting. It's the 4 keys to seduce your partner with integrity. And it doesn't always need to be the male partner who's doing this, but I find in the masculine, feminine, typical general paradigm that it's a really nice thing when my partner runs me a menu of small offers instead of asking me for sex, which I'm not in the headspace to be in because I've got to first relax before I can begin to think about becoming aroused.
Mm,
Women, we are very much multitaskers, where men are much more, single-minded. And so you guys are, you get a boner and you're ready to go. Where for us, it's harder because we're thinking about a million things. That's how our brains work. It's part of the process, neuroprotective process of keeping us safe because we don't walk in the world safely like our men do.
mm,
And so we need our man to kind of put his hands on us, settle our body, get us out of our head, calm us down so that we can relax enough and let go enough to let our spit run, our eyes water, our breasts kind of relax, our our blood to run to our pelvic bowl and begin to lubricate our vaginal linings and swell that erectile tissue. Those are the physiologic functions that don't happen in fight, flight,
mm,
freeze, or feed. They just don't. So a big part of your job as the man that can be super helpful is when you learn how to touch us all the time so that we enjoy it. And then you hug us for long periods of time to relax us. And you make us small offers. When I get home, you say to me, would you like to lie on the couch and put your feet up on my lap and I'll rub your feet and I'll get you a glass of Chardonnay or whatever you're drinking and I'll rub your feet and you can tell me about your day. Would you like to go into the bedroom and I'll give you a back rub? Would you like to go into the bedroom and I'll hold you and we can just catch up? Would you like to go in the hot tub or the sauna and just relax for a minute? Would you like me to get dinner started or call for takeout so we can
mm,
just chill and connect? Because a big part of turn on is because a big part of turn on is the providing a safe container for her. But then that gets me into the other thing where couples tend to go kind of south, if you will, is that people think that they should automatically know how to have good sex, and men overestimate their skills because testosterone makes them very confident. And so they think they're better in bed than they are. And also, it's easier for them generally because they're ready to go. So it's easier for
mm,
them to achieve orgasm than their women because their women end up getting rushed because they think they're supposed to have a male response and that's not how their bodies work and people aren't taught that. And so they think it's something's wrong with her. Oh, she can't orgasm. Oh, well, too bad. We're still going to have intercourse, that kind of thing. They don't understand that everything's a learned skill. They don't understand that she's slow, he's fast. They don't understand that she needs to be calmed first. These are things that are important. But also, she needs a lot of variety. So while you're offering that structure, that safety, that security, that attention, that affection, that adoration, that relaxation, she simultaneously will be really bored if that's all she gets.
mm,
And so what she wants is novelty,
mm.
variety, bedroom adventures, erotic play dates, excitement, things to look forward to. And that's where I think having something like a sex life bucket list, there's two forks in the road right here where we are actually, B-Rad. One is we had something happen in our relationship. 20% of the time it's cheating, 80% of the time it's mental and physical health
Mm,
issues that took us off our game and we stopped having sex. And maybe it could be something like, one of us had cancer or we have erectile dysfunction or whatever it is. Okay, my partner has ED and he's not doing anything about it. So we don't have sex anymore. So we don't even touch. So now we're in separate bedrooms. Well, what needs to be done to regenerate his function? The penis pumping, the nitric oxide, the Gaines waves, all of the regenerative therapies that can reverse erectile dysfunction. You got to go work on that stuff. So sometimes something happens and everything stops and you don't know how to start it again. For that, I have essentially a 5-step process that couples can do themselves because many couples don't want to go to therapy about this. If you do, your therapist will help you solve these problems.
mm,
But I like things that are like a lot less talk therapy and more just like, let's just fix the friggin' problem.
mm,
That's why I didn't become a therapist. That's why I'm a sexpert, not a therapist. I just want you to have sex again. And you can go to a therapist for all the other stuff. I just want you to have hot sex. And so I created this thing. It's a free download as well. It's called the Magic Pill Method. And essentially, most guys feel like they can't bring the topic up because their wife, and it's generally this way, but it's not always. So this is just an example. Their wife will stonewall. She'll have a
mm,
shit fit if he brings it up. And so it's like, ah, God, I don't even want to talk. I can't talk to her about this. She won't communicate with me. Or he thinks, no matter what I say, I'm going to lose. She's going to be
mm,
able to talk circles around me because men are men of few words for a reason. Women are the more articulate group generally in relationships. It's harder for men to access their feelings because they get denied those feelings as children.
mm.
It's another shitty part of our culture that messes up our relationships. And, I didn't make the rules. I just try to fix them. So the magic pill method is a 5-part step-by-step process for finding your way back together and it puts you on a level playing field. And what's cool about it is that it actually gets you to list and get your partner to write down. It's a little workbook, actually. It's a downloadable workbook. It's free. It gets your partner to list the things they'd be willing to do with you now, even if there's some things they can't do. So it gets you starting to, yes, I would let you hold me. Yes, I would let you
Mm.
rub my feet. Yes, I would go in the hot tub with you. Yes, I would have a back rub. Yes, I'd be willing to try mutual masturbation. Yes, I'd be willing to try getting a yoni massage. No, I would not be willing to try oral. No, I would not be willing to try intercourse, whatever. I'm just saying, okay, all right, we won't have oral, we won't have intercourse. Those are
Mm.
your boundaries. Let's start with the things we can do. Let's get some stuff back on the table. Because pretty soon, once you get her pump primed again with everything I've been telling you, you're doing the touching, you're making the offers, you're doing the embrace, you're not afraid to touch her anymore. You're not afraid to have pleasure together. Once you start having pleasure together, it escalates.
Mm.
So and you can fix the problems you have, and maybe you'll never be able to do certain things. That doesn't mean you should never touch again. You should never have pleasure again. You should never have orgasms. There's so many ways to have orgasmic pleasure together. You don't need it to be one path or another. It's a fault tolerant, massively redundant system, our bodies and
Mm.
pleasure. And I do keep saying orgasm because that's another misconception is that a lot of people think, well, this is the way I come and now I can't do it that way, so I guess I'm not never going to have an orgasm again. It's
Mm.
like, no. There are 20 kinds of orgasms your body can have. Number 20 is wild card. There's so many ways to have incredible pleasure, and the orgasms are the juice for your health.
Mm.
All the loving and all the touching in the world is not going to get you the 10 years longer, the 10 years healthier, the 10 years happier. You need to come. Don't be afraid to have orgasms and to learn new pathways. The way that it works is you start out with tissue that might be numb or feel ashamed or feel painful. When you bring it loving, consistent touch, it begins to develop new neural pathways
Mm,
from your erogenous zones to your biggest sex organ, your brain. And then your brain's like, oh, I actually like being touched there now. Oh, now that's feel really good. Oh,
mm,
wow. This is the third time you've touched me there. And I just think I had like a little beginning of an orgasm from that. So what you're doing is it's mind body connection. People who work out really get this because we're used to mind muscle management. We're used to thinking about how we move our bodies and access specific locations in our body. So this is why I love to work with people who are healthy and move their bodies and are embodied because they are the best comers. They know how to make their bodies do things. They just feel like, oh, I can learn that. I can learn these things. So you start to do all those things. So that's one aspect. That's for your couples where, they're everything's gone, something happened, they can't talk about it, but one of them is willing to try to get the other one too. And sometimes what I say to them is just give your partner the PDF, the magic, print it
mm,
out and give them the magic pill method and say, I'd like you to read through this. This seems like something we could actually manage to do together. Would you
mm,
be willing to try to do this exercise with me?
mm,
And it's a thing you break up over a series of times, so you're not trying to do it all at once. So you have times to like rest and digest from the experience and think about things, which is really, men need a lot of that. You need to chew on things for a while. You need to ruminate to access what you want to do and what you need. So that's really helpful. But then there's the other couples who are just more like, damn, we didn't realize we didn't know what we didn't know. We've been the blind leading the blind behind those closed doors. We're bored. The biggest issue for us is that it's like, oh God, all right, I gotta fuck him again.
big
And
issue.
and that is very and so what are you gonna do about that? Make it more fun. Be more
Mm,
fun to have sex with. So how do you make it more fun? Erotic play dates. You don't have sex. You have a date to do something new you've never done together. We're back to the neural pathways. We're back to variety. We're back to novelty. And for couples that can talk about their sex life, the offering I have in that category is my sex life bucket list. So when you begin to realize, oh, okay, we have a different arousal, we need more touching, I need to hold her, she needs time to calm down so her arousal can build, and I need to put more time into giving her a lot of good orgasms before I penetrate her. How am I going to do that? How are we going to do that together? Go to sexlifebucketlist.com. You get a downloadable PDF that has 48 different erotic play dates on
mm,
it. And I created a video, it's free. I created a video where you just crack open your laptop or watch it on your phone, do it in bed together, get an album cover or a notepad or whatever you do, right? I'm from the 60s. I don't even have an album cover around here anymore. A book, and put your little spreadsheet on there, your little list there, and watch my video together. Pause it as much as you want and talk about the things I'm saying. I walk you through the 48 erotic play dates. You mark them an A, a B, or a C. And so does your
mm,
partner, A, B, or C. You don't share your stuff in the beginning. The very first thing you do is you say, would I want this on my sex life bucket list? That's an A. Okay, this is a B for me. I wouldn't put this on my list, but if you want to do it, B rad, I'm doing it with you. Right? So that's the B's. B for B rad. And C's are, it's not for me right now.
mm,
Nothing on that erotic play date list is going to be like, oh, gross. God, I can't believe she included that. There's nothing yucky in there. It's all sweet, loving, sexy, sassy, fun, but it's going to stretch you. It's going to get you doing things you've not done before. There's a few on there you'll recognize. Oh, God, remember we used to do that? We don't do that anymore. Let's do
mm,
that again. And there's others where you're like, we talked about doing that, but we never did it because couples tend to get in a groove, and that's safe. But that's the thing. If you want more desire, the trust and the safety have to be balanced by novelty and variety, or it's boring. So the sex life bucket list gives you some ideas, and then you can start planning. Oh, I want to learn how to give you a yoni massage with, Susan's favorite tool, the queen. I'm going to get this tool and I want you just to lie there. I'm going to tell you some stories and tell you how sexy you are. And I'm just going to give you this yoni massage and I'm going to rub this vibrator on you and it's going to get all that tissue. It's going to give you your lady boner. And then, maybe we can try something else from there.
Mm.
That's the kind of thing that really makes a difference. Couples need something to work with. If you knew what you were doing, you'd be having hot sex. So being willing to begin as beginners and try new things together gets you on a level playing field. Nobody has the upper hand. There's no expectations. You get to make mistakes together. You get to have laughs together. And you get to get that new relationship energy going. You feel like teenagers again together. That will reinvigorate your sex life. And it's so much fun to see what's on your partner's bucket list. So when you merge your list, then you know the kinds of things you want to do.
Yeah, you use that word integrity, how to seduce her with integrity
Yeah,
when you start talking down this thread,
yeah.
and it seems like you're engaging in all these behaviors and offerings from a place where you really care about your partner and you want her or him to feel good without making it an exchange or a transaction and having that pressure that's behind that, which possibly is a reason why things kind of crumble and fall apart. Maybe you're not getting enough respect in general everyday life, and then you're expected to give it up, as they say, and it's no longer like this win-win transaction. It's more feeling like people are being taken advantage of in general life, and then yeah, you can see how the distance builds, and then all of a sudden you need that second bedroom uh, teed up for for nighttime.
Yeah, I like seduction with integrity and giving without expecting to get. One of the things that I have with Tim, my husband of 33 years, and our sex life's better than it's ever been. It keeps getting better. We're very good together. I love having sex with him. But we run into those same things where we get busy or we just like crash at 8 o'clock and have dinner and watch a show and go to bed at 9:30. I mean, I
Love
love
it.
to go to
Yeah.
bed at 9:30 these days. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah.
Because I get up so early.
Uh,
So,
I get up late and I still love to go to bed at 9:30.
yeah, I
Uh,
mean, 33 years in, you gotta work at it. But one of the things that really helps us is that I get unlimited yoni massages with no expectation for more. And that has been a real Rosetta Stone for us, where I can ask for, I basically have on-demand yoni massages. So whenever I am willing to lie down in my bed and butterfly my legs open, he is willing to get there with me and give me a yoni massage. And what I like about that is that's my on-ramp to my turn on. We chat, we talk, then I start getting turned on, then I kind of go quiet, and then I almost go like almost limp, and then I start moving a little, and then sometimes I have to like really move a lot and kind of all the prolactins kind of coming in and stretching and letting down and relaxing, and then he knows we're making some progress and he's so patient.
mm,
I never feel pressured to do
mm,
anything, have any response. Like if I literally am just lying there like I'm dead sometimes, Brad, but he knows I'm not dead. He can tell it's pleasurable. And
mm.
he knows all the little spots I like now and exactly what I want. And I just love getting yoni massages from him because that's often what it'll take for me to go, oh, yeah, I do like you. Ooh, I actually, oh, grr, baby. Maybe I just want to jump on top of you right now. And that's another thing. I learned over the last, it was like 60, 59 or 60 when I started really practicing cowgirl. And I have become such a cowgirl lover. First of all, I got some serious muscle mass in my quads. So like I am strong in the bedroom now, stronger than I've ever been in my whole life, even in my
Mm,
20s, way stronger, way more able to do different sex positions and all kinds of stuff. Just because I'm late to bodybuilding, but now this is what I
mm,
love. And strength training, really, not bodybuilding. I'm not
mm.
a bodybuilder. I'm not,
Mhm.
shredded or anything. I got a little nice pat of fat on my belly on top of all that core strength. And I don't care. It makes me happy. I'm good. And that's another nice thing when you get older, you can kind of, if you work out and you have body confidence and strength and things
Mm,
like that, you're not so hung up on if your boobs are saggy or you've got cellulite or whatever. Like my body is such a temple of pleasure that if it has a little few wrinkles in it, I don't care. My God, I'm so far ahead of 99% of the universe with all the hot sex I have that it doesn't matter what I look like. I'm good. So I do like that a lot. And the cowgirl has been fantastic for me because instead of him having to do all the work to make it great for me, I just use him for my pleasure. And he really enjoys that. And I love to tell him dirty stories while I'm riding him because he's very auditory during lovemaking. He likes to hear moaning and things like that. And I sometimes just enjoy taking control and running the game. And that took me decades of confidence building and getting comfortable with sex and learning and trying things and experimenting together where I am just as comfortable as at leading and asking and saying what I want and saying what I need as he is. And so we just have this wonderful free flow and we're both full of ideas. And so we never know when we hit the bed what's going to happen, but it's almost always going to start with a yoni massage. And
mm.
every once in a while, I say, babe, I'm not going to get there. I need to roll over. Can you just tuck me in? And I like him to pull the covers all the way up over my shoulder. I like to start my little sleep on my belly. A lot of times I'll wash my face, brush my teeth, everything before we get started. Because sometimes all I want to do is just get my husband to tuck me in and I just drift off to sleep. And he does not mind that at all because the more yoni massages I have, the more chances are that I get turned on and it's back to Team Sweetie. I can't control the animal body I live in. All I
Mm,
can do is give it the inputs that put me on a path to success, to have a chance of success, which is I want to have lots of sex. I have good intentions. I like it, but it takes me a while to get there. And it's not me, it's that I am the female Homo sapien of the species, and this is how we are wired. And so if more couples knew these things, it's all learned. We have different arousal patterns. She needs the safety, but she also needs the variety. How to touch her without, make her these offers. You'll net so much more orgasmic intimacy by doing that. And then I'm just going to drop one last thing, and that is that orgasmic intercourse is a learned skill. And I have written a dozen techniques that most people have never seen on porn. They've never seen in a movie. No one's ever explained it to them. They've never heard of it. I doubt that if you went and it's at orgasmicintercourse.com. So if she's not having orgasms from intercourse, don't keep having intercourse with her without trying these.
mm.
She deserves to have as she deserves to orgasm the whole time you're penetrating her. And if she's working hard to get to one, you're not there yet, and you need to stroke her vagina with your penis the way the vagina wants to be stroked, which is again not depicted in our culture.
Mm.
And so, heart tongue method, glissando, the feline grind, the pivot method, the thrust in time. I've got all these techniques. You could just literally start there and try one of those things every time you make love, and you'll start activating that tissue, getting
Mm.
those neural pathways. She'll be asking you for intercourse.
We can learn more at felinegrind.com. Oh no, you didn't reserve that one yet. The queen of
Not really.
URLs.
There is
She
no
has to
felinegrind.com.
she has to run and get that before the show publishes. Oh my gosh, I love that. I mean, you must have what, 50 websites by now or something?
Hundreds.
A
I've got
hundred,
hundreds.
yeah.
I've been doing this for decades and I'm
Yeah.
prolific because I like to write sex techniques. I like to teach people the step by steps I mean, my God, we get that for exercise. We get like
Yeah.
your exact perfect form for the
Hmm.
ultimate deadlift.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't we have your exact perfect form for the ultimate orgasmic intercourse? That's what I do.
Yeah. Keep it coming. I mean, come on.
Oh, I do, baby. I do.
Yeah. Uh, you mentioned ED and the techniques that we've talked about, and I've
Yeah,
talked about Gainswave on the show, and
good.
talked to Judson Brandeis, your compadre
Urologist. Yeah,
in the sexual wellness world.
yeah.
Um, Now, is there a huge percentage where it's psychological and there's nothing wrong with the plumbing?
No.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
oh, so where do we stand with
It's like 80-20.
so it's 80%.
80% physical, 20% mental.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and
didn't
mental is
realize.
more often performance anxiety, which people call
Yeah.
premature ejaculation.
Uh-huh.
Not having enough stamina, coming too fast, coming before she wants you to,
Hmm.
basically.
So the 80% physical is poor vascular health, poor circulation, and as Dr. Brandeis mentioned, it's a 10-year red flag for poor heart health and
Yeah.
poor circulation in the heart. So, wow, I didn't realize that. That's pretty disturbing because that's all related to adverse lifestyle practices.
Yeah,
Even
well,
if,
but the good news is you can turn it around.
sure,
It's fixable.
yeah, yeah, day by day.
Yeah.
Well, that was a boatload of great advice.
Did you
I'm
get what
just
you needed?
Yeah, I think, stepping back, and I think the listeners might agree, just expressing the interest to open up the workbook and score your
Yeah.
ABCs and so forth is such a beautiful thumbs up in
Mhm.
favor of the couple and your hashtag working on everything as a team. So the couple
Yeah.
sex life is a team issue rather
Mhm.
than oh, one person wants it more than the other. Let's talk to our therapist about that. That seems like how
Right.
we're commonly addressing these issues, and it seems so ridiculous, especially looking from the outside at whatever. I'm listening to someone complaining about their relationship intimacy, and it's
Mhm.
like, well, if you're not touching much in real life and you're annoyed 17 times a day, of course it's going to lead to trouble
Yeah.
at the ultimate expression of relationship harmony, which you could say is the intimacy.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And there's so much more to learn. I've given you easy starter steps, but becoming incredible lovers together is a real joy.
Um, the first one, your first advice, which is commit to
Yeah.
nurturing a sex life,
Yeah.
is beautiful advice. I'm even wondering, like, could you even hack all this stuff and just agree to start having sex again, then unwind from there, like from the other direction, rather than build up, you know?
You can do both. You can
Yeah,
agree to try, but the problem is that what got you into this in the first place was sex that wasn't satisfying to
right,
one of you.
right.
So just starting there again, I think it's better to do what I said.
Yeah,
Work your
yeah,
way from the bottom up rather
love
than
it.
try and just go back to what you were doing, expecting the same, hoping for different results.
Right, especially if it's as you describe, the male wants sex more than the female. That's a clear indication that you need to take the pressure off and start going from the position of integrity rather than conquest or whatever the opposite would be.
Yeah, or mercy sex, just being willing to take mercy sex, which a lot
Mm,
of guys do.
mm,
And a lot of women give men, I did it for 10 years with my husband. And that's what almost ruined our marriage. And we were like, we got to fix this. And we thought it was me. We thought there was something wrong with me. Well, she can't have orgasms from intercourse, but we're still going to do it. Well, that didn't work out so well. So, but we
mm.
got through it by learning what to do and learning how to talk to each other about it. And yoni massages. Unlimited yoni
Love
massages
it.
on demand.
Oh my gosh. If you can get there, what else
Get
can
one of
you
these.
what else can you ask for?
Yeah.
And if you're not watching on video, Susan is holding up a toy occasionally. If you are watching a video, you'll see
Yeah.
that is that your favorite? Is that the one you were
I have
describing?
two I recommend for yoni massages. I always think it's better to use tools. If there's a tool for it, use it,
Uh-huh.
right? Like I'm not trying to screw a screw in with my fingernail. I'm using a screwdriver, right? And I honestly joke, Brad, that if Makita made vulva massagers, more guys would buy them, right?
with like the colorings of the the manly colorings on the box that it comes in. Yeah.
Red and
Hilarious. Yeah.
black and
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
Makita. But these two are my favorite tools right now. You might be interested in getting one and trying it out for yourself. This one on the left that I'm holding is green and it's called the Queen. And it uses a technology called pulse plate technology. These are in the category of vulva massagers. Now they massage the clitoris too, of course. But they massage all that tissue around the vaginal opening, the labia, the mons, the clitoral hood, the clitoral shaft, the clitoral tip, the vestibule, the perineum, all that, because all her erectile tissue is under there.
Hmm.
And so this pulse plate technology stimulates and penetrates through the skin into the tissue to generate the blood flow, to plump it up, to create the surface area that sends all those signals of pleasure to the brain. That's her lady boner. This gets her lady boner going. And I really like this. It has different modes and different, patterns and things like that. But this one is also good for people who are either auditorially sensitive, like hypersensitive people,
Hmm.
or people who their kids are in the house and they don't want them to hear any
Hmm.
noise. They live in community, or she's very sensitive to vibration and wants something not quite as strong. And when you turn this on, it literally makes no noise
Hmm.
and it still works. And they're both wonderful. Some days I want, and I have it on now. I cannot
Can't
hear it and
hear
I'm
it, people.
holding
She's
it in
holding
my
a
hand.
smaller black device. She was holding up the big green queen, and now
Hmm.
there's various options. We'll get some of that in the show notes. And
I literally have this on full blast and I cannot hear it.
look, yeah.
So it's giving me plenty of vibration. So if you go to drivedesire.com,
Hmm.
they're on that page. I try to always have links to everything I talk about and try to keep them up because frankly, the tools change a lot that I recommend because things sex tech
Hmm.
keeps getting better and better and better very quickly. I was just down in LA moderating a panel on sex tech that was fascinating. So I am very up to speed on tools. And this would be the place that I would start
Hmm.
because it's just nice to have a little help with the process and they feel wonderful and you'll give her a bunch of orgasms right off the bat and that'll be nice for her too. And the more she has, the more she'll continue to have. That's how orgasms work. It's not a
Hmm.
one and done. We're not like men with our ejaculatory response. We are massively multi-orgasmic. So are men. You guys just like to have your orgasm with your ejaculation, but you could have lots of different kinds of orgasms. You can have male multiple orgasms, energy orgasms, P-spot orgasms, all kinds of things. We are so incredibly orgasmic as a species. It's unbelievable. But I really do love those yoni massage tools.
Okay, listeners, if I'm sure you have your latest iPhone and your important technical innovations here and there, so go and shop. Let's get on the cutting edge and stay there. Susan Bratton, another great show. Thank you so much. And you
Oh,
gave out all the great URLs to go download. It is really amazing the amount of free content that you give away, and you just download these fantastic PDFs, really well done with great information. So I really encourage all the listeners to connect and join your community and learn more and enjoy more.
yeah, you can tell this is my passion. I do it for the passion. It's really fun. So it's always my pleasure to give people what they need because there's always more. That's the thing about sex. There's always more.
More, more, more. Susan Bratton, everyone. That's a wrap.